Well, I think the government's decision to recognise Juan Guaido is a democratic outrage. The truth is, he's never been elected as president of the National Assembly. They have a Buggins turn system, effectively, where the four groups who actually are in control in the National Assembly take it in turn. So he's never been elected. He didn't stand against Maduro in last year's election. And contrary to your previous contributor who alleged that the elections were rigged, I've spoken to election observers on the ground, and there were observers from 86 countries who say that that simply isn't true, that it's impossible, in fact, they say, to rig the election in Venezuela, because each voter who turns up at the polling station has to bring voter ID, and each vote is twinned with their fingerprint. And it's also important, I think, to remember
let's just deal for a moment
Jimmy
with
Carter...
Yeah. Let's deal with some of the other realities, one of which is this is one of the very richest countries on the continent of Latin America. It's a wonderfully endowed country, and it is completely bankrupt. Whose fault is that?
Well, I mean, I think there is very real problems in Venezuela, but I think it's important. Let me just go back to one point, though.
No,
Jimmy
but whose
Carter
fault?
said
I
these
asked you whose fault it is. I asked you whose fault it is.
Well, let me just make this. Well, I'll come back to that, John, in a moment. But the elections in the past have been described by Jimmy Carter as the safest anywhere in the world. In terms of the fault, well, look, Maduro was dealt a very bad hand, wasn't he? When he came into office, the oil price collapsed. He was then hit by extreme violence on the streets from right-wing forces, which were supported by the United States of America. That was then made even worse by Barack Obama signing an executive order absurdly claiming that Venezuela posed an extraordinary threat to the national security of the United States. And then, since Donald Trump has come in and has ratcheted up the sanctions even further, it has caused huge shortages. And it's important, I think, to remember as well that a UN Special Rapporteur has said that the sanctions imposed by the United States are illegal and could constitute crimes against humanity. What the United Kingdom ought to be doing is pressing the US to withdraw the sanctions.
Yeah, well, we've got a country that's been reduced to absolute poverty by maladministration and the rest, and protests too, but nevertheless, on its knees, when it should in fact be towering high. What's your solution then to what should happen next?
Absolutely. Well, my solution for what should happen next is that the United Kingdom, rather than behaving like Donald Trump's poodle, should be calling on him to withdraw the sanctions and to use their good officers to bring the different factions around a table and reach an amicable solution. Let's remember that Maduro himself has called for talks to actually stop the violence and to bring an end
Mr. Williamson,
to the economic difficulties that they're currently experiencing.
But you talk as if this is Britain on her own. Britain has joined many other countries, and today it's Sweden, France, and others. Italy?
Oh, yes, well, OK, yeah, but then Mexico. Well, hold on. No, Italy actually have not
Spain,
come out. My understanding is Italy have actually continued to recognise the...
My mistake.
OK, fine.
Spain.
But Bolivia, Mexico, countries? Russia, China, Italy. Well, listen, it's rather ironic, isn't it? Spain, when the Catalans saw independence and had their referendum, what did they do? They sent in their troops, their security services, meted out extreme violence on the Catalan people and put their leaders in jail. This hasn't happened to Juan Guaido, has it, in Venezuela? We can
deconstruct every single element of this. Your case is supported by Russia, China. You would hardly want to go to the wire on trying to defend them on human rights or anything
Mexico,
else. The fact
Bolivia, Italy. Come on, John.
Yeah. Look, Mr. Williamson, you and Mr. Corbyn are in a very nasty corner now. You've got a country that is in terrible, terrible condition, and that is down to the people who ran it and the people you supported. Isn't it time you changed sides and got behind what is happening now?
Sorry, John. Well, no, I'm not going to get behind Donald Trump, because the action that he's taking now could precipitate
what about the human rights
hundreds of thousands of casualties.
Are you going to get behind them as well? Are you going to get behind Mr. Maduro's gross human rights abuses?
Nobody is going to support human rights abuses, and they should be called out wherever they occur. But the media, including Channel 4, I've got to say, John, has been a bit one-eyed in its reportage of what's happened in Venezuela. I've seen footage of government supporters who have been beaten to death, set on fire, been decapitated, and these things need to be called out as well. And this is being supported tacitly by the United States, who are financing this kind of abuse.
Well,
but look,
Mr. Williamson,
the
you will
Venezuelan
also have
society
seen,
is riven.
You will also have seen the 3 million refugees that we've covered pouring into Colombia. What do you say about them?
Understandably, people are concerned about their safety and their welfare in Venezuela, and they're resorting to moving out of the country. But of course, in the past, it's important to remember that millions of people are travelling in the opposite direction from Colombia into Venezuela, and that's why I come back to the point. Look, the Venezuelan society is divided. The poor working class and the black community predominantly support the Maduro government. The middle class and the elites in Venezuela predominantly do not. We need an end to the economic sabotage. We need an end to the sanctions from the United States. And we need the United Kingdom using its good officers to try and bring a peaceful solution, because this could escalate out of control.
It's clear.
The United States actions in Latin America are appalling.
Mr. Williamson,
they wanted
we're
to
out
make
of
the
time,
economy scream in Chile,
you've had a good
and
go.
that's what they're doing in Venezuela.
You've had a good go. You've put your case. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.